Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious, broadcasting live in the American Space Museum in downtown Titusville, Florida. I'm literally sitting just 9 miles away from where the big vehicle assembly building is and all those beautiful launch pads at our Cape Canaveral Space Force and Kennedy Space Center. And no one knows those pads better than anybody in our building than Marty Winkle behind our Streamlabs production here. Marty, say hi on that USAC family microphone. We're going to talk about your LEM number 8 that is lifted off the moon today in 1971. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great step in history.
Very good. I'll quote you on that. Thanks for being here, Marty. Marty's got a question that we're going to kick off. You want to do that now or?
Yeah, we need to do it now because coincidentally, Mark, you have a picture of this on your images.
In our auction images, I'm going to
Yeah.
share a little bit today.
So
All
we'll
right.
give the question now. And
Well, we're looking at your LEM 14 right there, dug in to Fra Marrow. It was a lot fluffier than they thought it was. And, you were working on Apollo 15 and 16 when this was doing on there. But was there any conversation around the water cooler after they came back and you saw pictures like these, Marty?
no, because essentially that was history. Now we're, like you just said, we're moving on. The time this picture was taken, like you just said, we're working on the next mission, Apollo 15. So we never really went back and discussed anything, and we didn't have internet. We didn't have the information as quickly as we get it today. So this was unknown for quite a while, at least at my level of working force.
Good point. They didn't have instant communication to someone say, "Hey, look on my smart tablet of the picture how that pad is covered up there." We'll see it in another picture, but but there you got the exhaust bell of 14, how it cleared out the lunar debris there. But look, that's a crater. That if he'd gone like 2 feet to the left, he'd really been tilted in a crater there. So a lot of the lunar landings are lucky that they didn't tip over, maybe, and we're experiencing that with two unmanned spacecraft that tipped over last year. And I don't think the legs are spread out wide enough. So let me just say that we thank everyone for supporting the American Space Museum. There's our beautiful entrance there. Of course, we wave the flag proudly every chance we get here. I even have one conveniently near me here. That always is. We are the American Space Museum, and America's done great things in space, and we've shared that with partners all over the world.
So let me interrupt you, Mark.
Okay.
And let's go back to the trivia question.
Okay.
Because you mentioned flag. And the question is, what was the first patch to include the American flag? And not necessarily the total picture of the American flag, but at least portions of it.
The first crew patch
Yes,
to
first crew
include
patch.
the American flag. So you're thinking the Mercury was just sort of not officially done, really. And then Gemini had its own patches. So then you got the Apollo patches. So think about that one. A good one, Marty. The first crude patch that has the American flag in it.
And just to give him some recognition, I guess, Nick Thomas asked me the question, asked me and Bill Whiting earlier
Oh,
that
did he?
question. Yeah,
You out at the
And-
Space Center today?
yeah, yeah.
You
And,
saw
Roger
Roger Crouch.
Yeah. And
How's
I,
Mr. Roger Crouch?
he's good. He seemed to be in a good mood, and
Did he remember
talking-
being on Stay Curious?
I didn't ask him.
Oh, he
He
will
didn't-
when I get out there and see him.
Yeah,
this
he didn't act
weekend.
like he recognized me, so
Okay.
But I did not know the answer, by the way, and Bill Whiting did.
Bill Whiting. Hey, Bill. Nick Thomas knows it. Let me push the button here to see if I can say hello to you all on my phone today. There we are live, and I'll push that button there. Oh, there we are, right. I guess I pushed that button there. Yes, we're going to celebrate a little Black History Month today, featuring the short bios of three wonderful astronauts, one going into the Astronaut Hall of Fame. We're going to talk a little bit Apollo 14, I like talking about the anecdotes, the things you don't think about. and or know about in the mainstream besides the golf balls that Alan Shepard hit on the moon. That's the main thing. But we've got something in our museum that was on the surface of the moon that I show people all the time. That is in our museum here, and a really cool thing. I want to say hi to Tom Celentano and Mark Thell and Doug Forrest. Mitch Rothman says hello to his friends at ASM. He's manned space. John Borelli's up there in Limestone, New York. Good afternoon. He enjoyed the show yesterday with Gary Gerald, Marty, and it was a well-watched show, despite being 90 minutes.
Gary Alguire.
I said, Gary.
You said Gary Gerald.
Gary Gerald, not the farmer. Yes, Gary Allgaier tomorrow. That's because I've known Gary Allgaier so long, he's like a big brother to me now. Hi, Gary. So glad you and your wife, Donnie, have found our museum. And Carlton Bailey says, Happy Thursday. And to Marty and the museum minions. We're always minions to Marty, okay? Now, I do like those little minion characters there. So maybe we'll have to do some caricature of that. Uh, watching from Scotland in Dundee, Scotland is Robert Law. And thank you, Robert. We're gonna see him at Shuttlefest in April. Looking forward to that. So we all know that you can give us money anytime, and boy, do we need it. And but we're persevering, and there's a way that you can say thank you on YouTube. They take a pretty healthy percentage of it, but there's Winston Scott saying support the American Space Museum. You can also go to our website page and make a contribution on PayPal. And we're going to be asking for a specific project we're doing for you to help us with. That project's going to be renovating our uh, gift gallery and turn it into a gift shop and memorabilia store. Okay, and we're going to buy some hardware for that, and so we're going to ask for donations for that. We're also, you want to earmark your money for Shuttlefest, Stay Curious Improvements, or the gift shop. Just do that, and that money will go to those areas there. So Dave Stange says hi, and good afternoon to Tom Usiak. And there's Gary Allgaier. Glad you enjoyed his show yesterday. Several comments about you could just listen to this man for hours. He's so detailed. Gary doesn't say anything. He's like Marty Winkle here, right? My co-producer for over 4 years. They don't say anything that they don't know to be the absolute truth. And I appreciate that, as where I'll say some things that might be in that gray area of rumor or I've heard this, and we've been corrected on some the urban legends out there time and time again. If you watch Stay Curious. Hi to Steve Jokums. Saw your email in my inbox, and I'll get to that this afternoon and get back to you. Steve again is already financially and physically supported us at Shuttlefest coming up in August. I didn't rack up a slide for that, but we'll be talking about that a lot. Our Shuttlefest 4 going in great direction right now. But a great talk by Gary about the fussy Apollo 14 docking mechanism. But we had a beautiful day today, kind of a road trip, a field trip that is, with our executive director Gabriel Rothblatt and myself going out to Via Space for an event they had to do a rocket demonstration that had to be scrubbed, but something technical. But there's Via Space's webpage. We've had about 8 of their employees on here, including some really smart young engineers talking about their Dauntless rocket and their Hellcat engine and all the how they're creating low Earth orbit rocket payloads to low Earth orbit with a rocket that's completely clean and green. It uses recyclable plastic, and it's the hard plastic, not that the bottle is, but the more like what the top top cap would be on there. And so out there yesterday, today was there's Bob Seek with Sean Mursky. I'm sorry, Sean Mursky is one of the he's one of the money guys that gets a lot of the money for for their startup. And there's Melinda Tribe in the back. Her and Melinda, shuttle worker on there. Bob, hello to you, buddy. It's always good to see Bob around. And there he is with John Tribe to the right. And to the left is Rob Fabian, who's the chief operating officer. And that is Sid Gutierrez, the astronaut. Once a pilot, once a commander, STS 40, and then I think 52, he was a commander. I know 40 was his mission, but I forget. But he was a commander of another one. Sid's the chief. He's the board. He's the executive on the board. On there, they got some great people for about 4 years. They've been working on this, and this is out at Cocoa, in the town of Cocoa, out there by the cement factory. They've got a stand out there to do a big test for a bigger engine. So yes, Marty.
Mark, isn't Sid the CEO?
Sid is the CEO. Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah. It should be. Just chief operating officer. Great guy. I've been anxious to meet Sid. And Rob Fabian is also a great engineer. He comes from the MX missile systems of the Air Force, our defense system. And his uncle is John Fabian, Marty, that we've seen many times out the Space Center. And I'm always calling up Rob here and saying, your uncle John's going to be out there, for New Year's this year as usual. And he's like, glad you told me, because he never calls me until he, his first or second day in town here. But great company via space. We had some fun out there. You're going to hear more about that today. And thank you, Sid Gutierrez, for your time, and the great John Tribe there, hypergolics expert with Bob Seek, who launched 51 shuttles. And Bob always says, Mark, I also landed 51 of them. And that's the important thing. So great mentor to me, both these gentlemen here at the American Space Museum, John Tribe and Bob Seek. All right, let's talk a little bit about our charity auction. Saying hi to Cliff Watson. Cliffy's here, he said. He's in Pomona, Australia. They're just hitting the middle of their summer there, Marty. So hot. And he's in the area of I think they call it the Gold Coast, where there's a lot of surfers and so forth. So hope you're having fun, Cliff. There's some auction. You can bid now. Go to the American Space Museum, click this QR code. It'll take you right to where you need to go to Invaluable Auctions that Bid Again Auctions, loads it up. Invaluable Auctions conducts it. And the gavel pounds down at noon Saturday. And we have lots like these. I picked a little quick sample. Lot 53 is an Expedition 11 crew sign patch display. Now, when you get all the astronauts of a crew or an expedition to sign, that bingo puts $100 on it, okay? But and each astronaut autograph is $25 maybe. So we've got some ISS flown patches there that are displayed. Someone's bid $125 on it. The astronaut sign display award there with Columbia. I'm not sure what astronauts signed that, Marty. I didn't look that up, because if all 7 of them did that, that'd be worth like $5,000. Expedition 11 patch again, STS 34 crew signed lithograph. That's our friend Mike McCulley. The whole crew signed that. And so that's a good, and framed, actually, it looks like, a couple $100, matted like that with some extras. And now at the bottom is Paul Calley signed items. And these items are signed by Mr. Calley, who is designer of that moon stamp there, and the father of our friend Chris Calley. There you've got John Glenn's memoir signed in hardback. There's no dedication to it, so that's good. You have a lithograph signed there, so, should go for $200-300 easily. John Young signed jumping, beautiful salute. Okay. And not sure what John says on that below there. John Young, jumping salute is what he's. Of course, Charlie Duke took this picture. John's 3 feet in the air on this. He jumped up to salute. That could go for $600, $700. After all, this is the great John Young, the astronaut's astronaut. 6 flights, 2 Gemini, 2 Apollo, and 2 shuttle, including the very brave STS-1. Currently up to $450. See, on there. So if you wanted to go $600 on that and you put it in there, and it goes 450, then it goes 5, someone bids 5, then someone 550, then you're the next bid, you would get it at 6. If someone stops at 500 and you're at 600, you'll get it for 550. So I'm glad to see that's gone up there already. Scott Carpenter's Godspeed, he put on there, a Godspeed John Glenn. That is good. John Glenn's autograph on a photograph. And then you got some Gordon Cooper, all right, that you and he's very popular. And then Rusty Schweikert there, vintage NASA photograph of Rusty talking about the lunar module, his hand on the command module there. And a couple other ones here to show you. Now Marty's going to tell me what patch has the first one to have the American flag in it, as we're looking at these shuttle crews here that go for $200 to $300, hopefully. So you've got there on the you have one of astronauts just signed their name in their pumpkin suit, and those are $25 to $50 each. So Marty, I'm looking at the patches here. Oh, I'm going to guess that it's STS-55 with the German D2 mission, because I see a German and an American patch there.
So you want the answer now? Because I think the next slide has the answer.
Oh, the next slide has, okay, so all right. The next slide has the answer of what patch shows the American flag. And Marty said it doesn't have to be the whole American flag. Aha, I get it. Well, let's look at a couple of these other lots here. You've got a very interesting lot there with Sally Ride's autograph, a signed lithograph, John Glenn, Buford, the first woman, the first African American, the oldest person at the time to orbit the Earth, 77. And then you've got Jack Lausma, and who's the other one on there in the inside the maybe that's 2 Jack Lausmas on there. Boy, that's worth $300 to $400 easy. Sally Ride's could be worth $500, or Blueford's there. So that's how it goes, folks. Then you got some concept models from RCA of the early shuttle concepts, and then you got some actual photographs of early photographs taken on space missions. I know the one right here on my shoulder, John Young took that of the Earth on the telescope that he had on the moon. That was an infrared telescope, I believe. And the final display I have here of our auction is this. And aha! I guess we know the answer now, Marty.
And there's the answer, and Mitch Rothman got it correct.
Mitch Rothman got it correct. Okay. Good for you, Mitch. Apollo 1. And Steve Jokums is going mission 41G, which does have the flag. And Ace Boogie Stacks is giving a shout out there to Kat Johnson. Hey, Kat. Hope you're staying curious with us, too. And Dave Stangy is asking Cliffy if he's doing well, so they can chit-chat back and forth there. Stangy's up there cold in Michigan, and Cliff Watson's in Australia, hot and humid. So this is an interesting group of lots there. See Neil Armstrong's autograph? Well, let's look at the top. You got Jim Lovell and Fred Hayes signed a training page. All right, each of their autographs, Lovell and Hayes, should be worth $300 each. All right, that's why Chuck's Jeffrey, our collection auctioneers, got 600 as a max. Donald Putty, personal papers and parasol material. He had something to do with that. Is very well explained there. One of the Paracel on Skylab people. Um, a fireproof playing card. Okay. Don't see those very often. But there's an Apollo 1 crew patch presented to Deke Slayton by Gus Grissom. And this is $3,000 to $5,000. The reserve on is probably $3,000. What's a crew patch? These are patches specifically made for the crew. They were given a pack of them, maybe 30 to 60 to a pack, maybe a couple packs of them to do what they wanted. They would look like the regular mission patch. I don't know what the difference is on the Apollo 1 crew patch. It could be in the Earth continents are different. It could be the moon is a slightly further away from the horizon there. I didn't look that up on there. What makes that a $3,000 to $5,000 patch? But if Chuck Jeffrey, our collection analyst, says it is, then it is. We've got Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin signed Apollo 11 event badge and car passes. All right, you have their name on anything. They're $1,000 each. That bids up to $850. All right, that's gonna hit the $2,000 limit, I guarantee you. The vintage Apollo visor photograph on a Kodak paper. This is an actual print handed out. Now it's not a red, doesn't have red letters on it. If it did, it would probably go for $5,000, but this will go for a couple $1,000s, I guarantee you. An 8x10 printed out of the laboratories of Johnson Space Center that has on the back a Kodak paper, which proves that it was 1969. And so this stuff is sometimes crazy money, but one little spill of a coffee or crinkle in it, an edge being crushed or something like that, boy, that takes so much price off of it. And there's Buzz Aldrin in the lunar module, red numbered Type A photograph, and that'll probably go for $800 to $1,000 in there. So give you an idea of how we make money. Now, we don't make, there's a percentage that the auction house, but again, auctions takes. I don't know if we gave these to Chuck to sell at the auction, we would get our full cut of it minus the auctioneer's cut. But maybe Marty, he has stuff in our auction, like some Kapton foil from Apollo 17, and he would get the bulk of the commission on it, and we would get our 10 or 15%, and then a 20% charity fee is added to everything. And you help us that way. If you pay $1,000 for this visor shot, you're going to pay $1,200 to us, because 20% we're going to add on there for our auction, for our charity. So, Marty, did you make a note there? You have something to add to auctions? I look forward to watching them. It'll be at noon Saturday. Even if your wallet's light this time around, we're having about every other month. But you're going to learn a lot about space history, aren't you, Marty?
Well, I'll give you a little trivia right now. I'm just looking at the Buzz Aldrin picture. You see anything unique about that picture?
Buzz Aldrin there scratching his head.
Yeah.
Unique about it, it's on the surface of the moon because the windows are overexposed, I would say.
Yeah, but he's standing on the commander's side.
And he is standing on the commander's side. Yeah, and why would he do that? And Neil be back?
I don't think he's on the moon, Mark.
Okay.
Because he's wearing coveralls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wearing coveralls. Yeah, that'd be during training. So, of course, he's wearing coveralls.
Yes, I guess in training he can go on the commander's side.
All these things have value. If you're a space worker or was in the garbage can or the next door neighbor who was, and you found some stuff, and believe me, we've heard stories of unbelievable finds in the neighbor's garbage can. Let us know. we'll be honest with you, put you in touch with Chuck Jeffrey, and he can tell by a photograph uh, or a personal visit what you have there. All right, let's get to. Oh wait, did I have one more? Yeah, I did have one more there. This is a good potpourri of things in the auction. Apollo era jewelry, we call it. All kinds of neat pins and tie tacks. A temporary mission badge. Apollo 14 Descartes triangulation photo book. Now, Apollo 16 went to Descartes, not Apollo 14, so that might be misnamed and labeled there. Apollo 15 lunar sofas for photo proofs. Okay. Uh, and and Apollo 17, they have a lot of prints on the auction with some um, uh, proof sheets is what's above my head there. And then Apollo 12 stereo slide and red numbered proof photographs there are rare to find those also. So, all right, let's get to LEM 8 Antares, February 5th to 6th on the moon. Landed, it was there a little over 24 hours, about 36 hours. There's a panorama taken of it. You want to look at their logo up there because we're going to talk about that. Uh, and we've got Elena on there. Doug Forrest is on there. Okay. And yeah, Doug Forrest that says the photo was taken on the moon. That was when they first went into the lunar module. They did have coveralls on, Marty. They had flight crew clothes on to when they changed into. So that's probably when they got into the lunar module for the first time and checked it out.
Okay.
I would say thanks, Doug. That makes sense also. Okay. Where did I put my slides? Looking for my slides here. There they are. Love looking at the crew without their spacesuits on. They got their Chuck Jones canvas whiteys on there, it looks like. I can see that um, Mitchell's got high tops on there, Marty. So this, I would suspect this is a training because the command module doesn't look scorched behind them there. But Al Shepard, Stu Rosa, and the other moonwalker, Edgar Mitchell there. You see things, and I share things like this because I'm so privileged to handle so much memorabilia, that this is for the press corps. Get it? This is the Wizard of Id, Gary Hart's very fun, whimsical cartoon. And there is the king, the Wizard of Id, pressing the knave joker there. And that's sometimes what people thought about the working media press at the time. And of course, they get permission from the publishers to do that in 1970. So once in a while, you see a decal like that. And we'll put that in some collections of rare decals and sell them to you. There's Antares on the moon. All right, there's a little bit of a tilt there. The astronauts talked about having a hard time sleeping because they weren't used to sleeping with their head or feet down like there. There's this is the screen grab that Marty did for me there to show you more of the Antares, how it just dug up in that one pad was really covered up by the little bit of lateral motion. But this was the most accurate moon landing of the six. Al Shepard and Edgar Mitchell put it down within 200 feet of their target. Apollo 12 was about 600 feet away on the edge of the crater of where the Surveyor unmanned spacecraft was. And there's a picture out there, undulated plains that they saw that little did they know that was so high above their calves of their feet and even up to their shins was the depth of the lunar regolith there that had been ejected out of a big impact and piled up there to make the mountains. So this was some of the oldest rocks brought back from the moon, over 4 billion years old, and because it had been uprooted from the mantle by the impact of the lunar basin beside of it there. And there's Al Shepard. I definitively know that's him because he wore the red stripes on his helmet and arms so they could distinguish each astronaut from who was who. Apollo 11, they knew that Armstrong had the camera most of the time. But on Apollo 12, I think they both had cameras. So they didn't know which ones were which until they talked to the astronauts. And then, of course, Apollo 13 would have had the stripes on it too. But there's the beautiful American flag and our first man in space, the only Mercury astronaut to go to the moon. They brought back 94 pounds of rocks and lunar samples. Most of them were fragments of older rocks. This is showing you Edgar Mitchell with a tethered a strap that they used as a pulley to hoist up the moon rocks in the box to take them up there. Once he got up there, Shepard used a pulley system there. This was also a system, Marty, that they would attach to them their chest to go down the ladder in case they fell off the ladder going down. Do you know specifically what he could be doing here, Marty?
No, Mark, I don't know.
Okay, but I do know they would wad up this tether, then they'd bring it back to Earth, then they'd split it in two and cut it up into 1-inch sections, and then they'd give it to you saying, "Thank you for your appreciation of your role of Apollo 14 success. This small portion of the lunar surface safety line was carried to the astronauts on the surface of the moon, February 5th through 6th, 1971. And on the other side is the space workers' name and thanking them. And I would love to own one of these. This is one of my favorite things we have on display here. And when one does come up in our auctions or any auction, they go for at least $700 and sometimes over $1,000. This was on the surface of the moon. How cool can that be? And the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, one of NASA's great orbiting satellites around the moon for 12 years, shows you the path of the astronauts. Okay, they were going to Cone Crater and they wanted to get up to the edge and look down inside. And they never quite made it because the lunar soil was so deep that they had to trudge along there. So it was really kind of crazy. And but the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter's definitive proof, there's the descent stage of the Antares. The ALSEP is there, Apollo Lunar Science Station. There's even Weird Crater there because it looks weird. Astronauts give them these names for navigation purposes. So the moon's past first quarter. It's going to be shining out bright from now till the weekend. And new full moon's going to be next Tuesday. So go out and get you some moonshine. And where the red circle is, that is where Apollo 14 landed. Apollo 12 is just a little bit left of that. Now, talk a little bit about beep, beep. This patch. There is the official Apollo 14 patch on the left, Stu Rosa, Edgar Mitchell. And then there is a Roadrunner patch that has Cernan, Evans, and Engel. Joe Engel was the backup astronaut on this. So he would have segued from 14 to Apollo 17, as this whole crew in Ron Evans and Cernan did. You would be a backup, and then you were going to be prime 3 crews later. Of course, Engel was replaced by the geologist Jack Schmitt. But so this was a fun way of Cernan and his crew poking fun at the Apollo 14 astronauts and claimed that they were younger and they were going to beat them to the moon. And there you see Wile E. Coyote pot-bellied because of Edgar Mitchell was a little pudgy with a beard for the age of Al Shepard, oldest person still on the moon at age 47. And there the Roadrunners beat them to the moon there. And I actually own a a patch that Chuck Jeffrey told me maybe. Well, let's go. The audio?
Now you got it.
Okay. I got a loose cable here on the floor. We're live here, folks, so don't make any. We're not going to edit that. All right. So anyway, as you see, the twill on it is not as good as the finished product that I've seen several of. These go for $300, $400, $500 or more. All right. And when the astronauts got on board the lunar module, everywhere they opened up in the command module, these would float out. And they got aggravated with it because, oh, there's another dang gone, the backup crew, we're going to get them when we get back to Earth. And there's even rumors that a couple of them were stuck on the lunar suits that went on the moon. And they would put things behind the personal life support system also on there. So that's a cool relic to have of the space age. And beep, beep, we beat you to the moon. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mitch Rothman's asking, is the coyote red for Russo's red hair?
Absolutely, Mitch. Thank you. The red hair's Russo, the beard is Alan Shepard, and the pudgy belly is Edgar Mitchell. All right, in this rendition there. And I'm a big fan of the Roadrunner and cartoon, and I think that is so cool that they did that. And so, yeah, I think it's cool that I own that. So, Mitch, yeah, that might look good down there at Lake Wales with your little situation there. Well, maybe talk about that. So, all right. Well, I got one last picture of Apollo 14, Kitty Hawk. Can't forget about the command module. Beautifully out at our Space Center at Kennedy Space Center. So, well, that we only do it 6 times a year. Talk about moon landings. So I'm sorry if you're bored with it. I never will be. Well, shuttles of the month of February, 11 of them. I believe almost 60 astronauts went to space during the month of February. But what's important is so we celebrate them all around. We've got a great mission here. STS-63 has Bernard Harris on board. And I'm looking at other missions where we had African Americans on board, as we want to celebrate Black History Month with the rest of the country, as we honor we honor Hispanic Month, we honor Asian Astronaut Month, all throughout the year. Those of you that don't regularly watch us, and this is something that we love to do. An important chapter of American history. Of course, the first 3 African Americans to travel in space, Guy Bluford in the middle there. He had 4 missions. Ron McNair on the left side, 1 mission and lost his life in Challenger. And Fred Gregory on the right. I believe Fred had 3 missions and a commander of one of them. Fred is the first African American to pilot and command a space shuttle mission. He was acting administrator. And I always say this when we talk about Fred Gregory, you get a chance to see him at Kennedy Space Center. Please do. He's always a very, what do I want to say, intellectual conversation that he has, I think, with the crowd. He wants to not brag about being an astronaut or even an African American astronaut. He wants to talk about us being Earthlings in a universe that is so huge and limitless, and he does a lot of Hubble telescope pictures. Great guy, and very popular out there. So by my count, 17 African American astronauts. That does not include Michael Strahan, who is a suborbital astronaut, okay, with Blue Origin, New Shepard rocket. So and let's kick off who we're going to talk about. Bernard Harris. We've got 3 we're going to profile here. Bernard Harris, born June 26, 1956 in Temple, Texas. So he's 67 years old. No, he's 68. But he grew up in San Antonio. And he became the first African American to perform an extravehicular activity on his second flight, STS-63. Here he is on his first flight. Let me get the slide here. His first flight. That's his second flight, where he did the EVA. His first was STS-55 in 1993, so he's got 2 flights, 18 days in space, and he is going to be inducted into the Astronaut Hall of Fame at the end of May. He and Peggy Whitson are this year's inductees with the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. Medical doctor, he earned his MD from Texas Tech University, Health Sciences, School of Medicine, and he completed his residency at the Mayo Clinic. He's very involved now. I met him at the Astronaut Scholarship Cocktail Challenge party last year and had a fun conversation with him. He's always been into students. Wanted to say on this mission, let's back up here. There's Harris there. The patch, this was 3 firsts. This was the first flight of the new Russia-America space program. They rendezvoused, okay, but didn't dock. Eileen Collins was the first woman pilot of any spacecraft, Russian or American or Chinese. And then Harris did the first African-American spacewalk. And Michael Foale became the first British-born spacewalker. So a lot of firsts on this. All right. There's the American and Russian flag there in the Mir Space Station. So Harris has really been involved with educating youth, getting them into technical STEAM programs. He's the founder of an institution, of a foundation that bears his name in Houston, the Harris Foundation, whose mission is, quote, to invest in community-based initiatives to support education, health, and wealth. The Harris Foundation supports programs that empower individuals, in particularly minorities and other economically and or socially disadvantaged, to recognize their potential and pursue their dreams. And he does inner city kids and summer camps. And here is Bernard Harris's mantra: prepare our kids now for jobs that do not exist today. Think of that, Marty. Prepare our kids now for jobs that don't exist today. All right. You know, when I was a kid, there was nothing called a computer programmer, for example, back in the last century. So what a great idea. Prepare kids for jobs that don't exist today. And that's Bernard Harris, and we'll certainly be hearing more about him in May when we talk about the Astronaut Hall of Fame inductees. Here's another great astronaut. I love he's on one of my favorite shuttle patches. Okay. This is STS-98 patch of 2001 that delivered the U.S. lab Destiny. All right. We're going to talk about, I like that because it reminds me of the Grateful Dead Space Steal Your Face logo there, Marty, which is kind of a skeleton, and you probably don't ring a bell with you. We have this in our workers gallery. Think safety, you got a problem with that? And that's the way of STS-98 saying, you know, in a stylized way there, as hey, do your job or we could die. All right, that's Marcia Ivins. There's Kerbeam, and that's what we're going to talk about there. And Polanski's the commander on the right, and you've got Tom Jones on the far right there. So we're going to talk about Robert Lee Kerbeam Jr., born March 5th, 1962. He's a Navy captain, graduated from Woodlawn High School in Baltimore County, Maryland, all right, born in that neck of the woods. He is the only astronaut to do 4 spacewalks on a single flight. During STS-116, he completed 4 spacewalks, okay? And there's for the ladies, good looking guy there, getting his hair cleaned up there. Um, he has 3 space flights, 37 days in space. 85 and 97 is his other mission. The hard hat mission of 116. Uh, he did an unexpected fourth EVA to aid in the retraction of a solar panel, becoming the first person to perform 4 spacewalks. There he is out in public. He works for Northrop Grumman Innovation Systems and involved in their world. He was NASA Group 15, the Flying Escargot, as they called themselves, because they had 2 French astronauts as part of it. And he did, backing up to his spacewalks there. Don't have, oh, wait, what are we doing? There we go. Backing up to his spacewalks, he, Kerbeam did one of them with Sonny Williams, who's currently on the International Space Station. So he definitely is keeping track of Sonny as her 8 days in space is turning into well over 240, quite possibly. So they call him Kirby, Robert Kerbeam. Again, celebrating Black History Month with one of our wonderful astronauts that certainly would have flown more had the shuttle era continued longer. And finally, for Black History Month, and we'll have more this week, this month, is one of my favorite ladies I'd love to meet. Oh, Artemis on the moon. Well, I wish that would happen like that. Should take a screenshot of that. Stephanie Wilson, born September 27th, 1966. She's makes her 58 years old and born in Boston, Massachusetts, but she grew up in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. She's the most experienced female on the astronaut corps. She flew to space on 3 space shuttles, but it's been 12 years since she flew to space. 121, 120, delivering Harmony to the space station in 2007, and 131, she flew on the last mission of, no, it wasn't the last mission. She is married, and I'm looking here at the bio that I pulled off of her. She was inspired by her father, Eugene, an electrical engineer, to go into engineering. And she graduated from Taconic High School in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And there she is in an Artemis photo shot. She was scheduled to go to space and be there right now, in fact, as part of Crew Dragon 9. But her seat, as well as the commander, Zena Cardman, they were taking off of it, and just the two, the Russian astronaut and we'll see who's up there in a minute right now. They went up without the 2 women to leave 2 seats for Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmer to come back on in there. So hopefully she'll segue to go up again. She's waited a long time to go back to space. She is an Artemis astronaut in training to be one of the moon walkers or one of the orbiting moon astronauts. And this is so cool. I like sharing. Stephanie Wilson could be seen for a while in a 4,800 square foot earthwork portrait in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, this was done a couple years ago to celebrate United Nations International Day of the Girl Child, created by Aim Higher. The earthwork is a piece of eco-friendly artwork created by crop artist Stan. Oh, that didn't look good, Marty.
Yep.
Stan Hurd, and 1,500 tiles of space art made by children from 14 public schools were made to make this earthwork there. So we just dropped a monitor, and hopefully it's still working. That button there.
This one?
No, the one beside it. There you go. All right. Marty, is the camera off?
No.
Okay. Oh, all right. I see me on it. I don't see it up there. All right. The next slide then is thank you for our Black History Month. Enjoying that. We want to talk about, got these to go out with this. Who's in space now? Okay. We've got 10 humans orbiting Earth, all right? And there is Butch Wilmer and Sonny are up there. We've got below them, I can't see it over here, but what I'm trying to read is the other Crew Dragon astronaut. You have the Russian, and what's his name, Marty? Can you see it? And I don't know why. Kind of had a technical issue here, so I'm having trouble seeing what's going on. Oh, what the heck's his name? Somebody tell me. All right. Everybody says we're all good here. There's my daughter Jessica joining late. Grandpa says hi to McKinley, Bop, and Macy there. And we got the Navy person USS LKA 116 saying hello from Alexandria. Edward Dwight also flew on the Blue Origin flight. Okay. And trying to think of the. All right, I'm not going to be able to pull that rabbit out of the hat. But we got 10 humans orbiting Earth, 7 on the International Space Station, and 3 are on the Tiangong Chinese Space Station. We got, and that accounts for all 10 of them up there. So, Marty, you ready to go out, my friend? It's Thursday. We're glad that you all are with us today to stay curious. Tomorrow, going to do a little bit of backyard astronomy and catch up on some space news and astronomy news. It's going to be the weekend. The moon's up there. 3 beautiful planets. That's Venus, where the sun set. That is Jupiter, directly overhead. And that is Mars in the east, where the sun rises when you get dark in wherever you live now. So until next time, I thank you all for watching. Thank you, Marty. And I'm Mark Marquette saying I'll see you again tomorrow to bridge the space between us.